Hello, Phil here from Wings of Pegasus and welcome to another analysis video. If you enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. On the agenda tonight, we're going back to 2016 and we're going to be taking a look at Keb Mo and he's going to be playing through his track Am I Wrong? So let's get Kevin up on screen and see how he gets on.
Am I wrong? Hold on to you so tight. Tell me, am I wrong? Holding on to you so tight. When your other man comes to claim you, better be ready for a long, hard fight. And I got to be strong. I know you're depending on me. Hey, I got to be strong. I know you're depending on me. Make a whole kind, baby. All I love me.
I'm just going to jump in here because this is such a great example of less being more, and it's one of those things that's mentioned all the time, and I do say it in other videos, about the top artists know exactly how much to put in and when, and exactly when to let the track breathe. And the great thing about this performance and this riff is that there are so many incidental accents included in that rhythm. So the amount of work that Kevin gets through on the fretboard, it gives you the groove, it gives you the personality of the track. Even if it was just Kevin playing the guitar by itself, he's got so much groove in there that you can't help but tap your foot to it. In the background, we have got a really basic drum pattern, just pretty much a 4/4, straightforward, no real frills here. But like I said, less is more because it just keeps it driving and puts the focus on Kevin's guitar because that's where the groove is coming from. It's so evident in this kind of performance where less is more, very much from that B.B. King school of playing, just playing a few notes, and that is enough if you can get the notes to express and to emote and to connect with an audience. Sometimes you don't need a million notes a second, most of the time you don't. And the way that Kevin plays his lead, great control of vibrato here with the slide, we can also see that slide on the little finger. So it means that he's throwing in the rest of the riff with the first finger, second finger, third finger in order to get those incidental notes in there, and with the finger style on that right hand, he does have a thumb pick on as well for those root notes, but you can always hear those notes coming in and out just on the beat, off the beat. There's so many great groove elements in this riff that you just listen to it and you accept it and you tap your foot to it, not really thinking about the technicalities of playing it, because Kevin's absolutely got this down. This style of playing playing with the fingerstyle, but getting the accents absolutely spot on. And it's at that level where you don't even need a drummer to tell you where you are in a bar. You know exactly how long the bar is and when the next bar starts, because Kevin's so accurate with his timing, with his rhythm playing, but also the way that he throws in the lead notes in between the vocals. And sometimes he also plays the same melody line on the guitar as he is singing. And that's something that I have mentioned before, how you rarely see a guitarist going off on one playing separate notes to the ones that they're singing whilst they're playing lead guitar. It's great to have the ability to sing and play at the same time, because you can throw in little pieces like that, just playing the same line on the guitar as you are singing. It gives such a great effect. And the simplicity of the setup is absolutely key here, because it draws the attention to the riff and the groove within the riff, and also Kevin's lead vocal. If the drummer was too busy, it would start to take your attention away from where Kevin wants your attention to be. And we had a really interesting element where he goes off and he exchanges lines with the bass player. Again, that is something totally intentional, so that when he wants the emphasis to be on the bass, he will go over there and now they'll exchange lines. So you get that slightly different look on the performance, just adding in another interesting element, and then he'll get back to playing and singing. And it seems like the bass is really low in the mix here, so we don't get a real appreciation of how much is being put in. But from what I can tell, it's really simple, just a solid bass line, and again, just not to take the attention away from the lead guitar. And Kevin got his first gold record at the age of 24 because he co-wrote a song with Papa John on Jefferson Starship's Red Octopus, and Red Octopus got to #1 in the USA. So he had a little bit of success there. By the age of 29, he was doing songwriting work for A&M Records, and that's when he released his first album called Rainmaker. And it wasn't until the age of 43 that he then released his self-titled album, Keb Mo. And it seems like, having had so long in the industry, it meant that he was in a really strong position as an artist. And certainly he has said in interviews before that the reason he's had such a long and successful career is because he spent about 30 years in the industry, in and around other performers, and he could see what happened to particular artists who might have been forced to change the way they were, or to be a slightly different artist because the record label wanted them to sound a particular way. And Kevin had that attitude and had that belief in himself to just stay the same way, and it's something that he learned throughout those years. And being a true artist and an original artist meant that Kevin carved out his own groove within the industry, and in 1996 he released his album called Just Like You, and that featured Bonnie Raitt and Jackson Browne as well. And it tends to be the case that top artists attract other top artists because they're putting out their own individual message, and they're not conforming or trying to copy or rip off any other musician or artist. They really do take all of their influences and put that into their own musicality, but their own personality. So when that then comes out, it is a new voice. It isn't just ripping off another artist. And by the way, that album, Just Like You, was the first album of Kevin's to win a Grammy Award. So he really is up there with his writing as well as his performing. As we can see in this video, the expression and the groove that he can perform with, just laying it down in such a simplistic manner here, but absolutely ticking every box. But let's get back into the performance.
Tell me, am I wrong? Falling in love with you. Gonna make a home for you, baby. All your children too. Am I wrong? Falling in love with you. Tell me, am I wrong? Stay there. Sit right there. cheating and lying, stepping all over you.
And there we have it. Such a laid-back performance, but so much groove in there. It's one of those things that's the key word to describe this performance. And it's also one of the things that makes such a difference watching a performer who's having fun on stage, just enjoying playing, because that translates through to the audience. And I just want to mention at this point, playing and singing at the same time doubles the difficulty, as I always say, but also the control of vibrato that Kevin's got with that slide. He's never letting a note hang. He's always getting them to sing when he's playing lead, but also when he's throwing in single notes within the riff. There's always a little bit of vibrato in there. And just getting back to his albums, because in 1998, when he was 47, he got his second Grammy Award, and that was for Slow Down. And that album had a track on there. It started with the track called Muddy Water, and that was a tribute to Muddy Waters, obviously a huge influence on Kevin. But those classic blues players, Muddy Waters, by the way, is on this channel if you want to check out his playing. But those artists that were obviously a huge influence on Kevin around the 40s, 50s, and 60s, at a time, it was really on the decline in the USA, and it wasn't until bands like the Rolling Stones and also Jeff Beck, etc., then went over to the USA again in the 60s, the British invasion, which I've mentioned plenty of times on this channel, which really gave that resurgence to the blues. And like I said earlier in the video, Kevin's still playing live, he's still writing, still getting in the studio. He released an album as recently as last month, and that was called Oklahoma, so check that out if you get a chance. But thank you so much for suggesting this video for me to take a look at, and keep those suggestions coming in the comments below. Let me know what you guys think, and if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you guys at the next one.